Hello everyone, this is Linda Binns, the Breakthrough Energy Expert, and I'm here once again with Conny Graf, who is from Chaos to Peace. She is our Clutter Clearing Coach and Expert. And today we're going to have fun talking about the benefits of letting go and what would you want to let go of, and why would you want to let go of things, and how would you do that? So let me start by giving a little example. I'm going to take person A. So this person A, she is married with 2 children. Her relationship with her husband hadn't been going very well, and then he announced he wanted a divorce. So it was a very bitter divorce. She lived in a beautiful big home. And out of the divorce, she ended up with a smaller home, very nice home, but smaller home. But she was determined to get as much out of that divorce as possible. So she took as much as she could, furniture, basically anything and everything she could, leaving her husband with practically nothing, to this house. So she had so much stuff, it didn't all fit in the house. Basement was full. She had a storage facility as well, with lots of stuff in it. And that's person A. Then there's person B, who finds out that her husband is seeing somebody else. And so she makes the decision, or she has a conversation with him and makes the decision that they need to separate, they need to divorce. So they divorce. It's not really a nasty divorce, but he leaves her in a very difficult situation. He totaled the car before he left, not deliberately, but the loan for the car was in her name. So he left her with debt. She couldn't afford to continue paying for their house, so she had to leave the house, and ended up with nothing. She had no furniture. She had nothing from that house, nothing from that relationship, and had to completely start over. So let's take person A and person B. 5 years on, which one do you think has made the most progress? And I know you all know the answer to this question, but which one do you think has made the most progress, and why? What do you think?
So you're asking me, but you're actually asking probably the audience. But yeah,
I'm asking the audience, but since you're here.
Chances are that is person B. Unless person A wakes up, no, and as traumatic as it can be to end up with nothing, it might also be liberating.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. So person A, 5 years on, is still in the same situation, still with a house full of stuff. Still very angry, still very bitter, is really struggling a lot to move on. Her business, she has a business of her own, that's struggling. It's like every area of life is struggle. 5 years on, person B, although she's had a very difficult 5 years because she had to start over, is actually seeing progress. She's got her own place. She got a new job, better job, starting to have a little bit of money of her own, has paid off the debt that she had. And so she is starting to move forward. But person A is stuck in exactly the same place as she was 5 years earlier. Now, I know these 2 scenarios very well because person A was a client of mine and person B was me. And I left with nothing, not because I knew anything about letting go. It was the only option for me. And it was a very, very difficult time. I will not say it was easy at all. But now understanding what I know now about the power of letting go, it was absolutely the best thing that could have happened. It was the only way really to move forward. Because otherwise, just like person A, you are so encumbered by all the stuff you're trying to hang on to. It's like, oh, I showed him, I got all this stuff from the marriage, from the divorce. I've got all this stuff and he got nothing. But what do you think he's doing? He's doing quite well, thank you, even though he left with nothing. So I think it just shows you how the more you try to hold on to things, the more you'll stay stuck in the same situations. And even though letting go can be very, very painful and difficult, it's the best thing that you can do for yourself and your life. And I know that you experience this all the time because you're encouraging people to let go. And it can be a very, very difficult thing to let go of things. So, Conny, what do you think about the challenges of letting go and how people really benefit from it?
Well, obviously, as somebody who helps people declutter, whenever we're kind of holding on to stuff, especially in a vindictive way, even maybe in this situation, but we're hurting ourselves. Now it's like I personally would say it's a different story whether you want to keep certain things because you love those things. It's a completely different energy than if you're keeping things to be vindictive or to keep things to prove a point or whatever. And or like going to a different scenario where, for example, you receive these items. That's what I kind of recently have a lot of people coming to me with, where you receive these things handed down, maybe from your parents or from other relatives, and you actually don't like them, but you feel obligated. So it's like when the obligation. So I always encourage people to figure out the core emotion, why they want to keep something. Is it really because you love it? Then that's a different story compared to keeping it because of obligation or of bitterness or whatever. And yeah, so. But of course, like I just had that discussion earlier this week, when we're also sentimental, sometimes we can very much, and I am number one sentimental, we can very much trip over things that even though they may not bring us positive emotions, we're still kind of hanging on to them for certain reasons. But with your person A, I mean, this is very encouraged in our society as well, I would like to say. Most people, when they go through something traumatic like this, are encouraged by their friends and family members to make sure to get the most out of it.
Yeah.
And we're like in this, instead of maybe preserving whatever is left of our, how do you say, self-respect and respect for the other person, and sort these things out in a more decent manner.
Well, and I want to be clear that I'm not suggesting that anybody just gets rid of all their stuff and
no,
that's not it at all. What I'm saying is the more things you try and hang on to, especially for reasons. I first met person A after she'd been divorced for 5 years, and it was kind of shocking that how it was like it happened yesterday. You know, she was still that emotional and angry about it. I mean, I did find it difficult to let go of things because I loved books. I love books, and I used to have almost like a whole library of books. I loved recipe books. I loved any kind of self-help books that I read. I would buy them. I would keep them. I loved anything related to health, you know, anything related to animals. Even if there was a novel that I wanted to read, I would buy it and I would read it. And then, you know, so I kept all these books, and I thought I really loved having all these books. And there were other things like papers. I found it very difficult to get rid of papers. I did a workshop. I had, you know, materials and handouts from that. I would keep those. I had file cabinets. You know, I had all this stuff. And I think what really highlighted the challenges of that for me was having moved so many times, because when you move, especially books, something like books, you have to pack all these things up. You have to move them, and then you have to unpack them and find places for them. And, you know, as I did that, I began to realize the weight of everything, not just the books, papers, all the things that I was holding on to that I never ever looked at. I never read a book again. You know, there were books that I referred to, and I still have some books that I do refer to. But I was not going to go back and read these books again. I never buy a book to read now unless I know I'm going to really refer to it a lot. I'll get books from the library or something like that, but I really don't buy books. Or if I buy a book, then I have to get rid of a book. You know, and I don't have a file cabinet anymore. I let go of all of that because I recognized the weight of it all, and I just didn't need it. I recognized how much it was holding me back. So
and energetically and practically when you have to move. And that reminds me of someone who reached out to me, I think it was this spring, who said she needed help with decluttering because she's moving. And so I'm like, okay, so let's figure out a plan. And when are you moving? And she said, well, tomorrow. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I think we're a bit late. And then she ended up having to move everything because she literally had to be out the next day. And I see this so many times too, where then people move stuff that they really don't care for. They move to the new place because they have to, because it's the time crunch. And then in the new home, it ends up in the basement or in the garage. And moving is stressful on its own, even if you don't have a bunch of stuff that you actually don't care for. And then it ends up in the garage, and then you never get rid of it, because once you're settled in your new home, you're so exhausted and glad you don't have to deal with any stuff that you for sure not going into the garage. Right. So it's kind of like, that's why I'm always an opponent of constant doing things and letting go of something. If you get something new, whether that's a book, piece of clothing, piece of decoration, that's what I'm doing. Like Christmas is coming up. Like if I'm deciding I want to have an ornament, or if I see something that I really fall in love with, I'm for sure finding something that is past its glory in my home, but somebody else may really love it. So then let go of that, so that never really these mountains are building up.
Exactly. And you know, it's so sad when you have things that you, I don't know, used to use, used to love, and then you don't have room for them anymore, or you don't have any use for them anymore, but you don't let them go. They just end up in a box or some kind of container, just pushed out of the way. And it's not just about, although we're talking about stuff here, physical stuff, it really isn't just about that. And the physical stuff is really just a symptom. It's a sign of what's going on internally, because we want to also think about what are we holding on to emotionally and energetically that is not serving us, and how the clutter, the stuff in our homes just is a way to look at that and see it's a kind of a reflection of what we're holding on to internally. So it's so much more than just letting go of stuff. So with person A, for example, when she starts letting go of things, she's also helping herself to let go of that anger, that bitterness, that resentment, that emotional pain that she was holding on to from the marriage, from the divorce. So it goes hand in hand. So I always say it's not about the stuff. It really isn't about the stuff. The stuff is just stuff. But
and just to jump in here, and with person A, if I remember right, that person A also had children. So if that person A now may have trouble doing it for herself and to move on herself, then I would always suggest then do it for the sake of your children. Because if you're can let go of some of the stuff and you feel lighter, your children will be the beneficiaries of that too.
Absolutely. And I was always taught, because I trained as a feng shui practitioner, and I did that for many years. But we were taught that if you want to change anything in your life, the fastest way, the best way to bring about change is to get rid of stuff. Look for things to get rid of, because you're changing the energy in your home, yes, but also your energy by letting go, and you're making space for what you do want to come into your life. I remember I may have given this example before, so if I have, I apologize, but I remember giving a workshop one time where I was talking about this, and it was to a group of professional women. And a few weeks later, one of the women who had been there, I saw her somewhere else, and she came up to me. She was a realtor. And she said, I was at that presentation, she said, and honestly, when I heard you talking about this, I thought it was nonsense. She said, I don't think there was anything to this. But she said, I just decided, well, she said, one thing you said was, what have you got to lose? Just by getting rid of stuff, or moving things around, just get rid of a few things that you don't need, want, or use anymore. What's the worst that can happen? So you had said just to try it. So she said, I went home and I decided, okay, I'm going to try it. And she said, I started getting rid of some stuff. And she said, I did find that as I got started, I got more and more enthusiastic about it and found more stuff to get rid of. And she said, and I couldn't believe it. It was like the next day, she'd done this over a weekend. And the next day she got about 5 new clients just showed up really out of the blue. And this was at a time when, realtors were kind of struggling. And she said, I do make a direct correlation now between the things that I was, getting rid of and creating space, and all this new business coming my way. So there really is something to that. As you start changing the energy by letting go of what's no longer current for you, you allow for what you do want to come into your life. Very, very powerful. It's one of the most powerful things you can do.
Yeah, and if we want to get in a little bit woo for a second, then we can say that whatever we let go as physical items in our environment has an effect on us and our aura, or whatever you want to call it, our energy field around us, which I like, even the people who doubted me the most say if they actually let go of something, they feel lighter. So this lightness or this lighter feeling reflects in our aura. And whether or not we believe in auras, we all know that some people we like and others we don't like, and it has all to do with what energy they are giving out. And when you're not having such a cluttered home, when you let go of some things, that has an effect on you for sure. And so you show up differently, and that might be also why we all of a sudden attract different people, different situations, because our aura or energy field, or whatever your language around it is, got lighter as well. And
no, it is. I mean, it literally does change your energy. Yes, it changes the energy in your home, but it changes your energy. And you just reminded me of something. I used to teach years ago a series of classes at the community college. And one of them was on feng shui and clutter and energy of your home and all of that. And I remember this one lady who came, and I think it was a 5-week class in the evenings. And she just had this depressed look about her. She came and she was really quiet in the class, and she had said that she had clutter everywhere. It was just, her whole house was a mess, and she was completely overwhelmed by it. And she was wearing, she would wear kind of gray, dark clothing, and she would just sit there in the class and just had this heaviness about her, this heavy energy about her. And so she came. I was really proud of her, because she came week after week, even though she said there was, she hadn't really done any change. And then I think it was the 4th week, she came, and we all did like a double take, because she was wearing really nice bright clothing. Her energy was she was just like a different person. And we were looking at her. We said, what have you done? What's happened? She said, I was finally able to do it. I started to get rid of stuff. She said, I started with my kitchen, And she said, I just feel so much better. I just have so much more energy. She was like a completely different person. Mm-hmm. And it was just, the transformation was that dramatic. And that is just a great example of what it does. It does change your energy, because you're letting go of the stuff, but you're also letting go of all the emotional pain and trauma, whatever it is that you have been carrying around inside of you for so long.
Yeah. I remember when I went through my decluttering training and we had to do case studies, and we actually, so the people who were the case study, they agreed to be the guinea pig basically for us. And one part of it was that we would take a picture before. So when we met the person, before we did any work with them, and then we did the work with them, and then in the end we would take another picture. And it was staggering, the difference between these two pictures, which was sometimes only 3 hours later, because maybe we only did a 3-hour session, maybe we did a 1-day session. It was not that long, and you could see it in a picture, the difference of these two people, of the same person, but it was like two people.
Well, that's why I always say it is not about the stuff. It is transforming. It transforms you, which will then transform your life. So I'd said that this was going to be about 5 benefits of letting go. So I've made notes of 5 things, and I think we've really covered them here. But so why might you want to let go of things? Well, you're releasing anything, I think, that disrupts your happiness and no longer serves you, right? And the stuff we hold on to, if it doesn't serve us anymore, then it disrupts your life. It disrupts your ability to really be happy. And because you're making a choice to decide that you will focus on things that you can control, right? We do our program, Regain Clarity, Confidence, Control. There are many things we cannot control, but what we can control is ourselves. We can control our environment, what's in the environment. You know, those are things you can control. And those are things, we seem to disconnect the two. It's like, well, this is going on in my life, and this is going on in my home, and there's no connection between the two. Absolutely, there is. You know, so if you want to change something out here in your life, what can you control? What's in your environment? So you change that, and then there will be a corresponding change in your life. You are creating space for new beginnings, if you like, for new things to come into your life that are appropriate, that you are ready for now. It's about letting go of the past, certainly, as we showed with the first example of person A and person B, and allowing yourself to be, allowing yourself to be fully present, to live your life now in the way that works for you, not in the past and what you're holding on to from the past, or not being afraid of what's coming, but being able to live fully right now. And I think those are 5 very, very compelling reasons why you want to embrace the concept of letting go. And we have a hard time thinking about letting go of emotional energy, emotional pain, things that we are carrying around inside of us. If you want to help yourself make a start on that, or to start that moving, then you focus on your environment and you start making changes there, and it has a corresponding change within you.
I have a bonus benefit. Because I always say decluttering is self-love. So the bonus is, if you start doing this, then you will feel better about yourself. And I mean, self-love is a big word, and it can be defined in several different ways. But for me, it just means like looking after myself, making sure I'm feeling the best way I can in any situation. And if some things make me not feel too good, finding ways how I can make me feel better. So the bonus benefit is actually that then it's better, higher self-worth, self-love, and not in a selfish way, but in a caring way, which then benefits everybody around you as well, not just you.
You can say that, you know, surrounding yourself with clutter is the absolute opposite of self-love, right? It is what you're saying energetically, right, is that I don't deserve to have what I want. You know, I'm so busy holding on to all these things that I don't really need, that I don't have the space for anything new to come in. It's a really like putting yourself down, and you constantly in life, you will feel like you're trying to swim upstream all the time. Everything will feel difficult. Right. So I'm sure you know that you experience this as when you go to people's homes to help them with their clutter. I certainly experienced it as a feng shui consultant. If someone said to me, oh, my life is so chaotic, you know, I'm really struggling, none of the things I want ever happen, you know, I knew even before I walked in the door what I was going to find. You know, there would be a lot of clutter in a lot of areas, and that was always the case. So the two go hand in hand. It's not separate at all. It's not about the stuff. So in getting rid of or addressing the stuff, you are showing love for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So those are all very compelling reasons to start really embracing the concept of letting go, because in letting go of stuff, you are letting go of whatever is inside of you that is not serving you. So I hope that this has inspired you to just start. If it feels too overwhelming, start somewhere. Start with one thing.
Small.
Start small.
Few minutes a day keeps the chaos away.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yes, very important topic. I hope people will be inspired by it. And, you know, feel free to share your experiences or questions or comments with us. We love to hear from people. So, all right. Well, thank you very much, Connie. And we will be on your channel next week. Yeah, I will look forward to that. All right. Thanks, everyone. Okay. Take care. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.